Today, I'm joined by Glen Lomond, Global Partner Solution at Hitachi Vantara, based in Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Glen, and thank you for joining Caspio's Low Code, High Impact podcast. So can I please ask you to introduce yourself and share with everyone a little bit about your background and your current role at Hitachi Vantara?
Yeah, of course. Thanks very much, Paul. Appreciate the invite to get on a chat about this. So yeah, my name is Glen Lomond. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, but I have a global role. I work for within the partner organization and have the responsibility for the definition, the development, and the deployment of our as a service practice for our partners globally, of which is where we've been working with Caspio for, I guess more than a couple of years on a couple of different applications that we have. And in fact, I was actually introduced to Caspio by my VP, who suggested that we use your team to help us to drive this forward. So it's really been about for me, from a background perspective, it's kind of engaging in that model from an as a service perspective. And prior to my current role, I was only in the field, driving enterprise activity and engagements of large scale. I've worked in this industry for 20, 25 years kind of thing, even though I do much more youthful. And of course, I for sure come across previous history at Brocade, lots of startups, all that kind of stuff. So, but loving it. I love it. It's been great. I love working in this space. It's awesome. So.
No, thank you for sharing that, Glen. And for those people that are not aware of what Hitachi Vantara does, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, of course, because this wouldn't be some of the typical, people that would have seen this. So Hitachi Vantara is a company within the Hitachi Limited, the Hitachi brand limited, based out of Japan.
Yeah.
And our focus is data management, data services, and data technologies. Data-driven technologies, very specifically. So Hitachi Vantara is well known in the enterprise space, where we drive and develop, deliver, deploy a lot of large-scale storage, globally. I mean, 8 out of the 10 top banks in the world are run by our technology, and so on, right? So we're a vendor of a variety of different technologies, storage being one of the primary focuses for us, but a lot of other areas as well. Heavily focused in hybrid cloud, IoT, AI, Gen AI, all those areas they would expect in all verticals globally. Vantara, I mean, Hitachi Limited has over 300,000 people. I think Vantara has like 12 or 15,000 people and we are in about 160 countries. So my role globally takes me lots of places. And yeah, so it's a challenge schedule wise, but it's great. But the company is very focused in the data center, and now we're focusing a lot of our efforts on the mid market in various places in the world. So yeah,
thanks for sharing that, Glen. It's interesting what you said about having time constraints and challenging calendars when you've got a global team and working in different time zones. I hear you. So there's a kind of thinking around, you've been with a customer now for around 2 years, and you mentioned that your VP said to have a suggested conversation with Caspio. Do you remember what the reasoning for that was? What was you actually?
It absolutely was low code. It was low code.
That's what it was.
Absolutely, because we had put together another application that's used for some rebate calculations, and it was very calculator focused as well in terms of that model. And one of the things that was a big attraction was the fact that typically, as you know, any of us geeky guys as well, right? Even though I've got a business dev role and I've got all that, but I've kind of got a bit of a geek me in the background, right? So very spreadsheet focused, right? And the ability to be able to, convert from a spreadsheet very quickly, because it becomes the source code in essence, and to convert that into a web-based application was what we had done before in a very simple application. This one that I've deployed with your team is much more comprehensive in terms of the way that it works. And it's got workflow, it's got all the various things in it. And that's all been delivered as a result of translating that from what I had, calculated out from a spreadsheet perspective, multiple spreadsheet tabs and all that, converted that into code very, very quickly. And literally within weeks, we've had it running. So it's been a great success from my perspective, getting it rolled out, and a very easy transition for me. It's really helped a lot.
What was your first impression, Glen, of Caspio when you started to work with us?
Well organized. well structured. I love the, the application is one thing, but it's the tool set that you use as a result of that allows me to have much more control over the management structure as well. So what I liked about it is that even though I could take personal control more, I don't have the time for that. And so leaning on your team to do more of that really helped a lot. And now that the application is, its first, I would say it's first, even though we're kind of in phase 2, but I would say our first phase rollout, having the ability to be able to go in through the Caspio tool set and be able to manage a lot of things myself as I learn more about it has been great along the way. So the first impression for me was tool set solid, really easy to comprehend, and the approach and strategy very, very straightforward, and the team extremely professional, well organized, well structured.
No, it's good to hear that, Glenn. So who are the end users that are using the application that you've created?
So it's not an end user tool. It's actually it's an internal tool,
right?
That we use amongst our sales teams. In terms of being able to use, and again, it's in a pre-sales process. It's for the pre-sales. It's part of the pre-sales effort. As we sort of transition, without getting into too much detail of the application itself, but in terms of it's used as a pre-sales tool to be able to transition the offering details into market through our partner organization from within our partner management organization.
So how has that helped your sales team then? If it's pre-sales, what is it streamlined things for them?
Oh, absolutely. Again, without getting into too much detail of the application, we've actually built out a fairly complex model in the as a service delivery, because it's the easiest way to describe it as a service. It's very matrix driven. When you have multiple tiers of different services and capabilities and pricing structures, and having that in a matrix model was very difficult to translate into traditional tools. And so we converted that into think of it as a service management tool that allows us to be able to effectively manage pricing and execute that in market. And so what that's done for the team is it allows them to be able to simplify, instead of having to go and manage things through spreadsheets and or try to figure out how to actually package 10 spreadsheets together into one. This has all been packaged in one simple application for them. Therefore, it gives them a nice single control. And the other thing about what it actually has done at different layers, so the users of it, someone who's actually the ability to be able to actually use the application itself, but there's the management team that has the oversight now, because all things can be tracked and governed, which is something you can't do with a spreadsheet.
I hear you completely. Has kind of the application evolved over the last 2 years from what you envisaged to where it is now?
Just more detail, more capabilities, more features. I mean, the first iteration had no workflow.
Right. I understand.
As an example, it was literally a translation from, spreadsheet calculations into a calculator and other things. And then it's evolved from then into, role-based control, governance, approval processes. So we built all those things along the way over the course of the lifetime, and we're just beginning, really, honestly. We've got more capabilities to add. We've got 2 new services we need to add. So I'm already working with new statement of works with your team now to look at some of the next phases. So it's been a great experience.
And I know, Glenn, you've been working with our professional services team. How have you found that experience?
Very good. Yeah, no, absolutely great. I mean, in terms of being able to have them, respond, I think for me, the response time has been very good. And it's simplified my life because, first of all, because the project tool that we're using as there's a separate tool, which I won't get into detail for anyone on the call here, but there's a separate project tool that we're able to use to be able to communicate effectively, which really does a couple of things. It simplifies the requirements, keeps them very, very static in terms of what, and then as we dynamically change them, we have a strong interaction with the team to be able to make those changes quickly and execute the delivery of the application. So it's been great.
It's interesting because I talk to a lot of customers on a daily basis, and it's just fascinating to hear how people work with Caspio. And again, there were people listening to this thinking about low code and how we can get
Yeah,
involved with that type of thing. But there's clearly benefits when I'm talking to a lot of customers, whether it's a DIY type customer or it's a customer that's got a lot of technology background and everything in between. There's always a fit with something there. And for those people that want some support, we've got the professional services team, which a lot of our customers work with as well, especially if it's a super complex application and things like that. So with regards to the features, is there any particular features in Caspio that are your favorites you've seen a big benefit with?
so I would break that down into two things for
Mm.
anyone listening here, which would be the first would be the resultant application
Yes.
and what it can actually execute and deliver on. And then there's the internal tools from the development perspective and the
Right.
administration and management perspective, right? And because I'm the source of the application
Yeah.
because I originally created the logic and everything behind it. I get to see both worlds. So the end users themselves, of course, the application will only see the way that the application is structured, and that's something that we've designed specifically to manage for this specific model, and it is very modular, which is great. The other aspect that I think works well is that it's an easy transition from not just spreadsheet to application,
Yeah.
but the output
Mm-hmm.
that can be generated as a result of different file types, PDF types for downloads,
Mm-hmm.
as well as visibility of the management of the infrastructure of the services themselves
Yeah.
that are actually being executed. So that's part one, and then part two, which I'm a big fan of, is the Caspio management tool itself, which allows me to be able to clearly look at the application inside,
Yep.
and take on a bit of that myself,
Yep.
only because I don't have time to do more.
Mm-hmm.
But the using that application is, I think, something that anyone listening to this call would benefit from, particularly if you again you have DIY,
Yep.
which is, let me dig in and do a lot more, manage data tables, manage that structure. I can do all of that, or it's already done for me, and I
Yep.
simply need to be able to manage some of that. So it really depends on what you're looking for, but I found that flexibility was very, very good.
Yeah, it's while I've been doing this podcast for the last year or so, it's interesting
Yeah,
to talk around to these people that have got no tech background whatsoever.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
find themselves building an application, which is
absolutely,
just, it's amazing because it's so easy to use low
exactly.
code and obviously work on that end goal, whatever you're looking to achieve. So it's been fascinating having these conversations. But from like an aha moment with regards to time to value, we have a lot of new customers that come on board, and we try to get them to a time to value really quickly to make sure they're receiving
Yes.
some value early on. Was there a stage in kind of the initial ramp up where you thought, actually, this is that aha moment where this is all going to work for us?
Absolutely. I think the translation from the original source
Yeah.
to the visual use of the application happened very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's pretty typical in these projects, right? No, well, I shouldn't say that, because of, I think, Caspio's strategy, it's happened quickly.
Yeah.
But in any development cycle, the time to get to that first cut
Mm-hmm.
is typically short,
Yeah.
and then it takes a long time after that to kind of evolve, change, adjust, modify.
Yeah.
And what I found is that ramp up time was very quick to realization from the time that I provided the spreadsheet model. We outlined the statement of work,
Mm-hmm.
and then we executed on it. I think it was literally the first revision of that was within 3 weeks or so.
Wow. Yeah.
Literally that fast, and then from that point, it took us another 4 or 5 weeks to kind of tweak this and make few changes. But then, literally within that period of time, I have an application available to me,
Yeah.
which is for the amount of effort that I put in during the process was very, as I say, it's not just low code, but for me, it's low touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really what really helps me a lot in the model. Yeah. So that was for me the aha moment, was that how fast we got from the definition to actually seeing something was very, very fast.
Well, Glenn, if you had a crystal ball, how would you think Caspio and low code in the future is going to be able to help and obviously evolve with you?
Oh, I see it as a long-term relationship. As we build out this model, and because now that the baseline is in place,
Yeah.
then the iterations and the branches that we build, allow me to be able to, add this capability, this new service, that new service, this new capability very, very quickly. Because first of all, being in sync with the Caspio team, understanding the application structure and what we're truly trying to accomplish, really makes that translation from what I need into reality very, very fast. And for me, it's a matter of a couple of things. It's a matter of, one, it's being able to very easily define what I need and have that translated quickly with very little effort other than, some email exchanges, which we use, versus also once it's initially set, then using the project management tool to be able to communicate the effective changes quickly. And it takes me, log on to the tool set, literally takes me, 5 minutes to go and just check on, a new user story that needs to be updated or changed or modified, boom, done, applied. And then the team's working on it literally right away. So I think that long-term view to me is a relationship that I anticipate managing with your team for quite a while.
Great to hear. Thanks, Glenn. So if somebody's listening to this or watching the video, what advice would you give them if they're considering low code?
Do it. I mean, honestly, I have nothing more than that. Don't think you need to do it all yourself quickly, and you need to or do it all yourself and actually go through the process of spending too much time thinking it through. Literally take advantage of the fact that we can move low code very quickly with a low code process very quickly. Take advantage of just jump in and do it. There's no hesitation.
Well, Glenn, thank you for sharing your advice. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. And thank you for being a Caspio customer. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this or watching the video will find a lot of your learnings and advice very beneficial. So thank you very much for that.
I appreciate the time as well. Thank you. And look forward to working with your team continued on.
Thank you, Glenn.